Hi everybody, Corvus here. Sorry for us being a couple of days late. Last week I was a little under the weather because the allergens down here in Florida are terrible. Um, where to the point where your allergies feel more like a cold or the flu. Um, then Pandora needed to go to the vet because she has a UTI. And I had to get her some antibiotics and look after her, make sure that she was going properly and going enough and everything. And then over the weekend, for Mother's Day, my mother had accidentally broke her ankle. Well, nobody breaks their ankle on purpose. And tore a ligament as well. So it's been a little bit of a hectic week. Because there's only me and my father. I'm an only child. So when it comes to, say, taking care of somebody in the family, we all kind of need to pitch in together. So anyway, this is, I'm going to just say right now, there's a trigger warning on this video. Not because I'm going to be talking in depth about behaviors or certain things, but I will be saying certain things that I know can trigger people. So if you think that there's a possibility that certain words could trigger you, I just advise you to please not watch it because I don't want to trigger anybody. And I did label this part 1. I don't really know I almost don't know exactly what I mean by that, because since I have an eating disorder and I deal with it on a daily basis, I figure that there might be more to talk about, because an eating disorder is very complex. And I guess that's where I'll begin, is that an eating disorder is they describe it as a mental disorder or a mental illness that's characterized by an abnormal pattern of eating or behavior surrounding eating. So that includes all eating disorders, from binge eating disorder to anorexia nervosa. This is going to focus primarily on the latter and the side of the spectrum of anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, and EDNOS, which, for those of you that don't know, I know that the DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, which is sort of like the encyclopedia of mental health, mental illnesses, they have changed EDNOS, eating disorder not otherwise specified, to OSFED, I believe you'd say it. It's OSFED, which is otherwise specified feeding or eating disorder, but I think EDNOS sort of flows better than OSFED. Sounds weird. And the things I'm going to be talking about, they're not facts. They're not absolutes. This is from my personal insights, my friends, my family, and from Discord users in either a chat a server that I own or admin in. So, as I said, it's characterized by these bizarre, abnormal eating patterns or behaviors around food. And something that, if you don't have an eating disorder, it's something that's hard to tell, because a lot of the time people with eating disorders try, even though, say, they might be losing weight, a lot of the time people will try to hide that fact, and not just hide the changes in their body, whether it's weight gain or weight loss, but they tend to try to hide how they're feeling, because usually it's like having two halves of your brain at war. You have a logical side and you have an illogical side. Some people refer to it as like the ED brain, the eating disorder brain. And this is also called in psychology cognitive dissonance. It's when a person holds two opposing ideas in the mind at the same time. So if you think about that, in one mind, having these two polar opposites of, no, we need to be healthy and we need to eat, we need to sleep at the right times and take care of ourselves. The other side is saying, no, we need to get to a certain weight, because for some reason, say, that number means something to that person, or will tell them that they're worthless, and it's sort of just like this turmoil that you're constantly going through in your head. And sometimes it calms down. Sometimes it's quiet, but other times it can be very, very tumultuous and distressing. And even if you don't see that in a person that has an eating disorder, like I said, whether they're in recovery or not, because people in recovery still go through these periods of cognitive dissonance, and you have to realize that when you go to talk to somebody with an eating disorder, you can't know what side is winning at that point. So you don't know how they're going to react, so you have to give people with an eating disorder a bit of time and a little bit of space, because they may seem like they're lashing out, but it's just a matter of what's going on in their head, and it's very, very difficult to deal with for them just as much as it is for another person. The best thing that you can do for a person with an eating disorder, and this comes from my friend Rem, the best thing that you can do when it comes to supporting a friend with an ED is just listening to them and being a form of support that they can turn to if they need it. Also, that she had said, this is going to be my second point, is that sometimes people who have an eating disorder are trying very hard, but to others it looks like they're not trying at all. So confrontations about anything involving their eating disorder is always a touchy subject. And it is. And I almost want to apologize, because it is very difficult to navigate that labyrinth of what do I say, what do I not say. It's better to say nothing at all in a lot of cases. Like, what did I have here? That you don't want to say to somebody that you look healthy when they've maybe gained a little bit of weight or something. You don't want to say, ooh, you look too thin, or you look like you've lost weight. Both of those are very negative things to say to the person, because one, it's triggering. Just in general, it's going to be triggering either side. Looking healthy, though, and I know this applies to myself, it applies to other people. When people say, oh, you look healthy, it almost makes me feel bad, like that I'm doing something wrong, because healthy is like fat in my mind. And I know that that's ridiculous, but I still hold the notion, even though I know it's ridiculous, and that's like an example of the cognitive dissonance. So if you want to comment on a person's appearance, there's a lot more going on here than just whether a person looks ill or not. And also, you know, especially like when somebody makes a YouTube video, they probably, like a lot of people do, put makeup on and make sure that the lighting is nice so that you look very good. But so, or attempt to look very good, I should say. So if you want to compliment them if they look healthier, maybe you just say like, oh, your hair, like compliment something else about them. That, you know, people have hair, you can compliment. You could say that their makeup looks nice, or that they look happy today. That would be a positive and healthy, reinforcing thing to say to somebody if they look healthier and are in recovery. If somebody looks too thin and is starting to be worrying, it's really best to not mention that you're worried about them in that way of saying you look too thin. You can say, I'm concerned about your emotional well-being. You don't need to bring their body into it. You can still show concern without discussing their weight. You can say that I'm concerned for you emotionally. You seem very introverted and isolated, depending, of course, on the person. And also, this is a big point. Most people with eating disorders do acknowledge that they are highly unhealthy and engaging in unhealthy behaviors. We know that already. And telling me that, oh, doing this is unhealthy and is not good for you is going to be more detrimental than helpful, no matter how you put it. And that was from Rem as well, because she contributed those 2 points. People that have eating disorders, that if they don't look like they're trying, but they really are, confrontations. She gave me so much input on this, and it was so great, and a lot of it was stuff I was already going to mention because she's 100% right on this. I know that by doing certain things, that's unhealthy. I'm going to do it anyway, and if somebody tells me, oh, you shouldn't do that, it's almost like this immature child comes out and goes, I'm going to do it anyway. And it's like, you don't even understand it. And it goes on, and sometimes it goes on in the background, sometimes it's at the forefront, but we know that we're not eating normally, or we're not behaving normally with food, so we don't need anybody to point it out to us. There are many ways, like I said, you can just say that you're concerned about them emotionally, about their mental well-being. You don't need to bring a person's body into it. And the point that I was going to end on, well, 2 points I'm going to end on, because the last one I am going to put in, but I can't believe I have to put this in. But this was a point that was from a Discord user in a server that I'm an admin in, that not everyone with an ED is skinny, and that an ED is not necessarily all about being skinny, but it's more about control for some people, because I see that misconception a lot. And so do I. Because actually, if you look in the DSM, Diagnostic Statistical Manual, they have removed the BMI requirement. It used to be that you needed a body mass index, which is based on your height and weight, and usually your sex, to determine if you are in a healthy weight range. The healthy weight range, I believe, is 18.5 to 23.9. I might be wrong on that number, but I believe it's 23.9, and that's the healthy weight range. So an ideal weight is usually a BMI of about 20. It used to be a criteria for anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa, that your BMI had to be 17.5 or below to get the diagnosis. And that has been removed, because a BMI calculation does not really tell you how much body fat a person has to muscle mass, and muscle weighs more than fat. So they took it out also due to the factor that men have eating disorders too, and men tend to have more muscle mass to fat. We know that men, biologically, males have more muscle mass and less fat on their bodies than a female. It's a fact. So they had to change that. And they just got rid of it entirely, because also with bulimia nervosa, a lot of the time people that have severe cases of bulimia nervosa are at actually an ideal weight for their height. So they took that out, and they also took out the criteria of amenorrhea, which is loss of your period, because men get their period too. And just because somebody is at what you may think is a normal weight, they might not be. And just a normal weight doesn't necessarily equate to healthy and being okay. So when you see somebody and they may look normal to you, but they say they have, say, anorexia, you should not question that, because one, that's really not somebody's place to question another person's diagnoses. And two, a lot of people that have anorexia nervosa that have BMIs that are in the underweight category, is what we see as normal, I believe, because of media. You know, what you see on television and movies and all of that. We're used to seeing women that are thinner than average. The average woman in America is 5'4" and 140 pounds. So that's what the average is, and that's not even necessarily healthy. But our ideas... Hello, Pandora just woke up from her nap. So that's just something that I have also had a problem with, because even though I don't disclose my BMI or anything like that on here, and I do actually try to cover myself up, because I'm not here to broadcast my personal struggles like that. But when I have been at a normal weight, it bothered me that people didn't see me as being ill just because of what I looked like. And the last thing that I would like to say is that this was actually from a Discord user, Remy, who brought this up, and another Discord user they had been talking about it in one of the channels on our server, and that they have, and I have too, heard people actually say, oh, I tried anorexia for a month, to lose weight. What? You cannot try a mental illness on, like a dress, or a pair of trousers, and if it doesn't fit, return it. It doesn't work that way. So it's not going to work as a diet, because it's not a diet, it's a disorder. So if you start starving yourself, that's what's going to happen. You're going to starve yourself, you're going to lose a lot of water weight, then your metabolism is going to slow down, and eventually you're going to start eating like normal again because you're depriving your body of nutrients and stuff that it needs. So you can't just try on an eating disorder. But I do want to add to that somebody that says that, I think could possibly, because I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, that maybe it's a sign of them, making a cry for help, without even realizing it. It could be a sign that they are beginning to develop an eating disorder, and they just don't know the proper language to use. It could be ignorance more on the language rather than ignorance on the subject. It could be both. But you can't be anorexic as a diet. It's a disorder, and it can be hell. But I've already made this far too long as it is, but for now, those are just some points I wanted to make, and I wanted to thank, like I said, my Discord server, which I don't name because I'm sick of trolls, and my friends Rem and Remy, also for my Discord server, for giving me input, and to Sin for giving me the idea to make this video. None of them actually have YouTube channels and everything, and I'm just giving them a shout out because they deserve the credit for helping me out with coming up with these things. So I will be doing another video soon, like I said, about my opinion on the 2 videos that Rammstein had come out with as singles, because I know that there was controversy around the Deutschland video that I wanted to discuss as somebody that is German and also has Jewish heritage, because that's what the controversy was. So, ooh, cliffhanger for next time. But if you're still here, thank you for watching. I do think I'm going to make this a series because I just ranted for 20 minutes on this subject, and believe me, I was far from done. But thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please like and subscribe. I can't talk. Been talking too long now. And if you have any ideas for any future videos, any ideas for another eating disorder related video or any other mental health videos, please let me know. You could DM me, whatever. My Discord tag is down in the description, so if you ever wanted to message me on Discord, go ahead. Also, my Instagram is down there, but I don't use it necessarily all the time. But, yeah. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys in a couple of days. Corvus, signing out.